Attention, culture consumers. Join me, the queen of queries, Sarah O'Connor, and my band of nerdy knights.
Colleen McMillan.
Flo Siegel.
And Anders Drew.
On Bohemian Geek Studies, where we take extremely dorky dives into our favorite fandoms, especially that Star Wars galaxy far, far away. Listen each week as we examine the stories that mean so much to us. Bohemian Geek Studies is available wherever you get your podcasts and is proudly part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Elise.
Host of Crackin' One Open with Mike and Elise.
A podcast about brews, news, and pop culture reviews.
Every Friday, we choose a new craft beer from a different brewery and talk about
the history of the beer,
what's in it,
how it was made,
the history of the brewery,
along with tasting notes and more fun facts.
After that, come chill with us as we bring you the latest in pop culture news and reviews.
So check out Crackin' One Open, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
No, you're gross. You know you're gross.
I don't.
Oh, whoa, that's not what we do here on FC.
That is what I do.
He's like adjusting himself in his car with the lights on. He doesn't even turn the light off in his car. Gremlins 2.
Don't look it up. Dads, gotta love them. What have I done? Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it's because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or maybe the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. Season 8. We made it. I know, it does begin.
During the season of love.
Oh, really? Is that what we're
It's
doing?
Valentine's Day. That's why we chose these next two movies.
Is it Valentine's? Is it the beginning of February?
It's the beginning of February.
Right. Of course, the appropriate movie that we pick deals with unforbidden love. No, I'm just kidding. What are we doing today, Butler?
We are doing Beautiful Girls. It's a 1996 American romantic comedy drama film directed by Ted Demme. Is it Demme or Demme?
I think it's Demme, because
That's what I thought.
Jonathan Demme. Yeah.
Ted Demme, and written by Scott Rosenberg. The story follows New York jazz pianist Willie Conway as he heads back to his hometown of Knightsbridge, Massachusetts for his high school reunion, where he finds his friends evaluating their lives and relationships.
As I like to describe it, it's the 90th of the 90s movies.
It's so 90s.
I like the soundtrack. But anyways, Beautiful Girls has a runtime of 112 minutes. It's rated R. I could not find a production budget, which is ridiculous. Ridiculously baffling.
Well, I mean, it's not really indie, but it's kind of indie.
I should have been able to find a production budget for this movie. It's ridiculous that I didn't. But regardless, it came out on February 9th, 1996. So almost 25 years to the day, almost. To the week.
Oh, for when this comes out. Yeah.
So it's almost a 25-year anniversary of Beautiful Girls. That's why we did this. we didn't luck into that.
There's going to be a Fathom Event Classics based on this one.
Well, I won't be there. Opening weekend, 2.7 million. Domestic, 10.6. Worldwide, also 10.6. Distributed by Miramax Films, and I'm going to say it was produced by Miramax Films. It didn't really. I mean, I could have gone back and watched the movie again.
The Weinsteins were producers.
True. It's also produced by Kerry Woods, who has done other stuff with the Weinsteins at the time. So I will say that the Miramax logo at the beginning of the film is obnoxiously loud, and it's mixed louder than whatever the version that I watched. So this came out on the 9th of February, which came up against Broken Arrow. The who directed that? The John Woo directed. Yep. Christian Slater.
John Travolta
action movie. That actually was on the other day, and I was watching it.
Was it?
Yeah. Oof.
I prefer it more schlocky, like Face Off or Con Air.
Well, I prefer John Woo's original films, older films like The Killer and Hard Boiled.
Hard Boiled's really good.
So I prefer.
Didn't we talk about The Killer just a couple weeks ago?
I don't know if we talked about the killer.
It came up.
I know I've talked about before. One of my favorite scenes, I think, is in Hardball when they're in the hospital and they're going to fight and they're shooting each other, but then they realize they're in between, like where they're shooting each other. In between them is like 20 to 30 handicapped people. So they put their guns down like they're going to let them go, and they start moving. And the bad guy just pulls his gun up and just starts blasting everybody, not caring. I was just like, whoa! But I just remember that scene. Now, obviously, the scene in the bar with the bird cages and all that stuff.
Oh, that's what it's known for.
You also had Leaving Las Vegas that came out this week. Did you used to Leaving Las Vegas?
Yeah, that's a good film. I like that.
In a limited release, you had Heidi Fleiss, Hollywood Madam, for those who remember Heidi Fleiss and that scandal. The 16th of February, which is the week after, you had Muppet Treasure Island. I'm sure a Butler fave.
I like that one.
Happy Gilmore, which I enjoy. City Hall and Mr. Wrong. I've actually seen all these movies except Treasure Island. So, yeah.
Well, it's a good thing. You could go on Disney Plus right now and watch it.
Is it on
film.
there?
Yeah.
Nice. We're not doing unpaid advertising. If we're going to say Disney Plus, they better be giving us money.
I just want people to like the Muppets again.
What? They didn't? Who stopped?
I don't know. The Muppets just, like, they don't get the Muppets a good break. Their show on Disney Plus was such a, like, we got to put the Muppets on somehow.
Listen, the Muppets I just think we're beyond the Muppets now. I think.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you.
You can't have the same type of show that you had back in the 70s and 80s and consider that to be what you're going to get now. The movie was good. The first movie was good.
The first movie was very good. The second movie's all right.
Yeah. So anyways, on the 2nd of February, which is the week before, you had The Juror with, who was in that? That's, I know it's John Cusack. I can't remember the female lead. I'm blank.
The John Cusack movie, The Juror, came out in 1996?
Yeah.
Isn't that The Jury?
No. The Juror is when he's like trying to... Isn't that him? That's not him? I don't know what's going on. Is it Ashley Judd? Is she in that one? Or she's in Double Jeopardy?
This one is the Demi Moore, Alec Baldwin film.
Ah, okay.
Which I have never seen, but I heard of, yeah.
There's like there's some kind of genre we've discovered now. The jury genre.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, but that's more recent than 1996.
That was called The Jury?
I think it was called The Jury.
And then The Juror, and then there's Double Jeopardy, but that has nothing to do with a jury. Is The Juror the one with, which is the one that's Danny DeVito's in, where he's trying to buy jurors, or Gene Hackman is in, and they're like, that's the firm. I know he's in The Firm, but I'm not talking about The Firm. Man, there's so many of those.
I don't know.
Anyways, you also had Black Sheep, which I really wanted to like, but it wasn't that good.
You don't like Black Sheep?
I don't like it as I liked Chris Farley's other stuff, so... I mean,
Black Sheep's got some really good lines.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but like you're never going to be Tommy Boy. So
that's true.
You had White Squall and Dead Man Walking. Dead Man Walking is, I think, a wide here because it was limited before the Oscar season and then of the year prior. Then you had a limited release Ghost in the Shell and Neverending Story 3, which I don't think I've ever seen. The second one was with Jonathan Brandis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen the third one.
I know I've seen it, but I don't remember anything of anything other than the first one.
So Butler told you that Ted Demme was the director of this. He obviously did The Ref, which we did this past holiday season. He did Blow and Monument Avenue, written by Scott Rosenberg, who was also written Con Air, Disturbing Behavior, High Fidelity, and Venom, to name a few. He actually wrote this movie while waiting to hear about Con Air, whether Con Air was going to get into production. I guess that's the story behind it, that he was home. And he started writing about his friends and whatnot, which we'll get into a little bit later. Cinematography by Adam Kimmel, who's done Capote, Lars and the Real Girl, and Mark Felt, The Man Who Brought Down the White House, the longest title I've ever had to read. Composer David A. Stewart, who did Showgirls, Cookie's Fortune, Alfie, and the upcoming BTS Dynamite, or maybe it's out already. Produced by Kerry Woods, like I said before, he has done So I Married an Axe Murderer, which we did a while ago. I can't remember which season. Was this season?
I want to say it's season 5, right before Audience Choice, but it might.
No, because season 5 is Audience Choice.
It might be in season 4 then.
Okay.
Before Audience Choice.
He also did Rudy, Swingers, and Scream, which is funny because Scream comes out the same year as this. And as we'll get to, what's his face is in this movie? David Arquette. Yeah. And it's like completely a different, like it's almost like he plays younger in this, obviously, but
he also looks younger in this than he does in Scream. Weird. I thought the same thing. I was like, wasn't Scream 96?
Maybe this was shot. Maybe this was pushed back. I should have looked into that.
I was assuming it must be a 95 filming, but you think it may be 94 filming?
Scream's got to be shot in 95
exactly,
as well. Yeah. Interesting.
Unless they were like, you're too thin, David. Can you beef up a little bit?
Edited by Jeffrey Wolf. He's done Billy Madison, Cecil B. Demented, and Bachelorette, to name a few. So now this cast is long. There is a lot of people in this cast.
It's a who's who of who's in the 90s.
It is like I said, the 90s of 90s movies. So I will get through this as fast as I can. Matt Dillon plays Tommy Birdman. That's his nickname. He was nominated for an Oscar for Crash. He's also in The Outsiders, Drugstore Cowboy, and of course, Herbie Fully Loaded. Noah Emmerich as Michael, or Mo as he's called. Emmerich is in the Americans TV show. He's also the Truman Show, Frequency, which we both like, and Miracle, which is a fantastic film. Timothy Hutton plays Willie. He won an Oscar for his role in Ordinary People. He's also in Taps, The Dark Half, and Leverage, the TV show, which I'm not a fan of.
It's all right.
It's not good. It's like, do you remember, The Librarians?
Yeah.
Okay, like that movie, I watched like 2 or 3 of those movies, and I wanted to like those movies so much, and I'm just like, these are so hokey. These are so, no, there's a better way to do this. And then it became a show.
Yeah. I mean, Leverage is for when it's Sunday, you've just gone grocery shopping, it's like a rainy day and you have nothing to do, and you're just like, all right.
See, I think Leverage is a type of show in that ilk where 10, 15, 20 years ago, that show is a big hit. But because there is so much out now, because streaming is, there's so many new shows everywhere. Right. It's a show that would not get made if it was pitched today. It would be different, maybe. Maybe it would be a different style.
I think it would be different, take itself a little bit more seriously. Yeah.
You had Max Perlich as Kev from Can't Buy Me Love. I like that movie. Gross Anatomy and House on Haunted Hill. Michael Rapaport as Paul. He is in True Romance, Deep Blue Sea, Kiss of Death, and Higher Learning. Uma Thurman as Andera, or Andera? Is that what they call her?
I think they call her Andera in the movie, yeah.
She was nominated for an Oscar in Pulp Fiction. She's also in Kill Bill 1 and 2, and she's also in The War with Grandpa, FYI out there. She's actually pretty funny in that.
She's Grandpa's daughter.
She is. She is, what's-his-face's kid? Robert De Niro. Geez, I can't believe I blanked on that. Mira Sorvino plays Sharon, hot off her Oscar win from Mighty Aphrodite. She's also in Mimic and Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, which will be next week's movie. Lauren Holly as Darian. Yeah, she's in Dumb and Dumber. She's also in the TV show NCIS, which apparently I didn't realize is on like its 28th season or something like that. The thing is still going.
How many more murders are going to be different enough for people? I don't know.
Listen, the naval something need to bust into that. I don't even know what the NCIS stands for. She's also in Any Given Sunday.
I think you had it right. Other than the something.
Naval Central Intelligence something system? No, service. Annabeth Gish as Tracy. She is in Nixon, Wyatt Earp, Mystic Pizza, and Butler.
The X-Files.
That's right. The last 2 seasons.
And then she appeared as more or less a bad guy,
which I did not like.
Reboot.
I did not like that.
No, it was such a heel turn that it made no sense.
I didn't like. She was taking care of him, the cigarette smoking man.
It's better to be closer to your enemies.
Ridiculous.
What are you talking about? No, it's not.
Just completely ridiculous. And
also, when are you a caretaker? How'd you become a nurse?
Yeah, stupid. We're gonna turn this podcast has now turned into the anti-X-Files. No, I think
I can't do that.
No, I can't. I don't like that thing. But they can make another one. They can make another season of X-Files, and it could be the worst, and I will still watch it. It doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, but I'll be sad about it. But yeah,
don't be sad. Rosie O'Donnell plays Gina. She's in Sleepless in Seattle, A League of Her Own, and Another Stakeout. If you don't know who Rosie O'Donnell is,
the Flintstones movie.
Yeah, I didn't want to put that in her credit. I figured she didn't want that. Martha Plimpton as Jan. Everyone knows Martha Plimpton from The Goonies, and she's in Parenthood. She's also in the TV show Raising Hope. If you haven't seen that, that's actually pretty funny. Mm-hmm. And then Ann Bobby as Sarah, who's in the TV show Cop Rock. If you haven't seen that, don't worry. The Pickup Artist and Born on the 4th of July. And then young Natalie Portman as Marty. She won an Oscar for Black Swan. She's also been nominated for Jackie, Closer, and she's in the recent Lucy in the Sky, which I've yet to see. That ticks me off because it was done by the guy who created Fargo, the TV show. So I do need to see that. All right. So then now that's like, I would say that's not the main cast, but that's a bulk of the drama revolves around the people I just talked about. Now I'm going to give you the people that were kind of ancillary people. They're in there. They're not in there a lot. They should be in there a little bit more. You have Pruitt Taylor Vance as Stanley, or Stinky. He owns the bar, one of the bars. He's in Identity, Constantine, which is a movie we did, and Mississippi Burning, which is a fantastic film. David Arquette, as we just talked about before, as Bobby Conway. He plays Willie's younger brother. He's in Ready to Rumble, another movie we did, Scream, which is coming out at some point this same year that this movie came out, 96, and Ravenous. Sam Robards as Steve. He's the son of Jason Robards. He is in American Beauty. He's also in AI, Artificial Intelligence, and Casualties of War. You had John Carroll Lynch as Frank. You see him one time, but he is the husband in Fargo of Frances McDormand's character. I don't know. I always remember that. Adam Lefevre as Victor, who's in The Ref, which we just saw. This makes sense because there's a lot of people that carry over from The Ref into this movie since it's Ted Demme. It's just like a lot of background people, a lot of people in like the editors and all the stuff that I listed before.
Right.
They had The Ref in their credits. I didn't want to just say The Ref 85 times. And then you had Richard Bright as Dick Conway, who plays Willie's father. And the reason why I had Richard Bright here is you watch him on the screen, you see him, he's got a funny time where he keeps telling her it's superb, everything's superb. And you watch it and you're like, oh, its father's nice. And he's in maybe like 10 minutes of the movie. But you don't realize that he's had a big, long career. He's been in all 3 Godfathers. He's in The Panic in Needle Park, Marathon Man, and Looking for Mr. Goodbar, just to name a few. So when you see an older actor in one of these movies and it's kind of like a throwaway movie, you're like, that old guy's like, you should really go looking back at their credits because they've done some really good stuff and, they're still in the biz. So
right. Yeah.
I wanted to throw that out there. All right. Michael has never seen this movie. That is Mike Butler.
Mm-hmm.
I have. Like I said, this is 96. So I was 21 when this came out. So I really couldn't probably relate to people in their 30s trying to figure out what they're doing to do with their life. But I did relate to a lot of the dialogue and the conversations and just kind of the writing of the piece. That's probably why I was a little bit more attracted to the movie when it first came out. I get the feeling that Mike did not like it. So I'm going to have Mike tell me kind of like maybe like just something that jumped out at you want to first talk about or what you complain about. I know you're going to go straight to she's 13 years old and he's hitting on her. I get that. Everyone understands that. But if you want to start off with that, that's fine. Go ahead.
You don't know what I thought about this movie. You're assuming I don't like this movie because I only told you my main complaints.
You showed up and you started talking smack as soon as you showed up to my house. So yes, I assumed that.
This movie's all right. I don't hate this movie. I think the end of the movie is much better than the beginning of the movie.
Sure.
It takes a long time for you to care about these characters. At first, I was like, these guys all suck. And yes, Timothy Hutton. Oh, what the hell is he doing with Natalie Portman? That's gross. It's creepy.
First of all, he doesn't do anything.
It doesn't matter.
With her.
It doesn't matter. It's disgusting. It's completely inappropriate. And he doesn't get it until the very end.
He does get it.
And even when he gets it, he still doesn't get it.
He does get it. He does get it. I get it. I understand what you're saying.
So that's tough. And it's tough because he's the most relatable character, I think.
Yep.
Or at least for me, is because he's trying to be an artist and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to. I don't really think you're supposed to like these people in the beginning. I think you're not.
I don't think you are, but I think it takes you way too long to start to maybe like them or start to understand them. But I thought the movie was okay. I enjoyed it. I think some of the dialogue is really heavy handed. Some of the monologues don't land.
It's very monologue-y. It's very theatrical.
Sometimes it gets too indie in that kind of way that the dialogue is written. But there are some parts of that I do like, that I still appreciate. And I'm like, okay, I like that line, even though no one in the world would say that.
Sure. In
real life, I do like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the actor, Matt Dillon is really good. I think Timothy Hutton, he's a very good actor. He's really good. And I think a lot of the supporting characters are really good. I enjoyed seeing like a young Michael Rapaport, even if he's just a complete douche. He
doesn't get it.
Yeah. But no, I thought the movie was pretty good. It took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
Half the movie, I was like, this movie's not very good. And then the last
Butler, come on.
The last 55 minutes of the movie, I was really into it.
Okay. I think one thing that this movie maybe suffers from is that it has a lot of subplots that you find it hard to focus on which one we're supposed to stay with in terms of what the main plot is. I think I agree. The reason why this movie stands out a lot of times is because Natalie Portman when the movie came out, nobody knew who she was. And then when she was in this movie, that was the first thing that everyone talked about was her acting was the girl. Oh,
this is before crazy. Leon?
No, I take it back. That this was after it, but this was like she was the one thing that they kind of critics and people, yes, that she was, very good in this movie and just, and yet her dialogue is it's precocious. It's very adult. Her conversations with Timothy Hutton or Willie, but it makes complete sense that she would develop a crush on him in terms of just kind of like looking up.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And when he tells Mo, he's drunk when he's doing that. And yes, I know what you're saying. He knows it's inappropriate, but it delivers one of the funniest moments in the movie is when she's skating and she falls in his arms. Oh, take me. And then you see Mo skating. He's like, what the? What? He's like, he's just staring. And then, later on when Paul's like, okay, Jerry Lee Lewis, he's like, fucking Mo. Yeah, like stuff like that. They're just ripping on him. But I think this movie could easily go a different way. This movie could easily be extremely cynical. Even though you have people struggling in terms of relationships, struggling in terms of growing up or figuring out what they want to do with their lives. Like Willie going home and not understanding, giving up on his dream, quote unquote.
Right.
He could come off very whiny. I mean, it gets to that point, but not really. Like they all can come off very just Like you really could not like them at all. But
that's what I think the movie succeeds in stopping that. They go so close to the line of making them intolerable.
Right.
And then that last 50 minutes, like I don't think, with the exception of, I think, Paul, who doesn't deserve to be happy. I don't think.
Well, he's not. He's just, I think at the end of the movie when he's given up, he knows that it's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. But I think everybody else deserves their kind of happy-ish ending. I think everyone learns their lesson. Everyone becomes better for the experience of that 2 weeks that they're there. And I think that works.
Yeah. Well, even Paul at the end of the movie says that they're married. Victor and Jen are engaged. And he's like, forget it. Whatever. You know, he throws that line in there. And he says it quick. You might miss it. But exactly.
He's like, I don't care.
But that's the thing too. Like you have Paul's storyline. You have Willie's storyline. You have
Tommy's storyline.
And then you have Uma Thurman in there, Indira, and it's funny because she's in the movie and you could easily see like she could become a love interest of Willie. That's kind of like what they try to set up, and he even tries to push it forward a little bit. You know? See,
I never got that. I mean, I got that she was like, go and play this piano thing or whatever, right. But I never really thought that was going to happen because he's already torn between Tracy and Marty, who's kind of his dream of staying young forever. And it's like throwing her into the mix, I think would have been too much.
I agree. Yeah.
So I think she's just there as this. I didn't think anyone was going to end up with Indira. I felt like she was, and I should have looked at her name is so weird. It's got to mean something.
Okay.
But she's almost there as this Deus Ex Machina kind of character. She is this angel that comes down, like what's his face from It's a Wonderful Life.
Clarence?
Clarence. She's almost like the Clarence type character. She's there to go on that date with Paul. She's there to have that conversation with Tommy at the end. She's there to have that conversation with Willie at the end about all this stuff. And she's there to help change their lives and go back to her happy life where she's already resigned herself to, I found something that makes me happy. I don't need to go back and look backwards all the time.
Well, she tells Willie that, they have a whole thing where somebody who just tells me, that's with
Tommy.
Sweet dreams, girl or baby girl or something like that. Basically, the simplifying somebody who always reminds, always there for me kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Tommy, it takes Tommy a while to realize that that's Sharon.
That's Sharon. Yeah.
But they're not married, right? Are they married, Sharon and Tommy?
No, that's the whole thing. She wants him to be engaged because they've been going out for 2 years. I know Paul was going out with Jan for 7 years. Yeah. And then
it's brown.
It's champagne. It's the new thing. And then Tommy, I think, was like 2 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But I like the beginning when Tommy and what's his face?
Oh, Kev.
Tommy and Kev go
when they're plow
her driveway, and she gives him the hot
Darian's
cocoa.
Plow it. Yeah, driveway. Yeah.
And Kev's all disgusted by getting the cocoa and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he goes, he's all like, this is gross. She's married. He goes, no shit. And he drives away.
Yeah.
And you don't get quite why he's that disgusted about it. I'm like, all right, this is typical, movie.
Well, you got
relationships.
The sense that she was hitting on him.
Oh no, that's the thing. But I didn't. But then you realize that Tommy is also seeing someone as well for a long time, and that's why Kev was disgusted. But I like that it's that slow burn of figuring that out.
I did enjoy that scene. I don't have styrofoam. I'll bring it back.
Who doesn't have styrofoam? Maybe
she's married. Tommy, shut the fuck up or whatever. He's like,
no shit.
No shit. That's right. I actually like when Willie comes back and they all like, hey, and they're all like getting together. Like you could easily chalk all that, like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? All that stuff to just extraneous dialogue, but it's not, because you know that even what they're saying, whether it's how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. I'm just doing this. There's unsaid dialogue that's underneath all that is not being said. And I liked that, even though it seemed like innocuous dialogue of I'm doing fine. I'm doing this, that, that with the looks and how they are acting and kind of like how they're being sheepish about some things, that there's more there. And I think to your point, as the movie goes on, that stuff just boils over, as it's always going to do when you get together with your friends after a while.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which I think, that's one of the reasons why I really like this movie is I enjoy the dialogue. I enjoy the process of friends getting together, but, it becomes, what it turns into, what the reality of their lives. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I even love, like, at the end of the movie when he's leaving and Kev says that line to him, stay cool forever. I love that line just because it's like going off in their lives again. And it's almost like you want to stay there and just see what else happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which to that point, the writer actually Scott Rosenberg did a TV show called October Road, which is supposed to be a continuation of this story.
Oh, really?
So, but it's more of Willie's character. I think the characters have changed, but I take it back. There's a character in there that writes a book about his hometown. So basically his character,
Okay.
Rosenberg, the writer, wrote a book about his hometown, and he goes back home and he has to deal with the after effects of putting all his friends in a book. And it's only like, it's like 40 episodes. It's only like a season and a half maybe. But I was like, oh, it's interesting. But it was supposed to be a continuation of this story. Like these are his friends that he based it upon. And now the TV show is those friends and like how they react to being on TV, and I did a book and stuff like that.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. We talked about Darian a little bit. Let's talk about. But she just does not care.
She sucks.
Well, she was drunk when she goes to his birthday party, but
well, obviously, yeah.
But she just does not care about who knows that she's stepping out on her husband.
No, and somehow she thinks Steve, her husband, doesn't know,
Right.
which clearly he does. You find at the end, which duh.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is just so out there in the open about it.
Mm.
She's a bitch.
Well,
She
that's
sucks.
what that guy at their reunion, because they all come. The reason why Willie comes home is because he's here for a high school reunion.
High school reunion, yeah.
which
Which they never end up going.
they
to.
never go to, and you only see like one scene, and that's when Darian goes and that guy tells him, "You're real meanie when you're that kind of thing."
You were queen.
They called her a mean girl. He says you
were the devil. You were the devil.
you were a mean snake or something like that.
You were a snake. Yeah, you were a snake.
Yeah. But I'm trying to figure out, they're near their 30s. So this must be a 10-year anniversary.
It is their 10-year
Yeah, okay.
anniversary. Yep. They do say that.
But so they do. So that's why he comes home for that whole reason. They, like Mike says, they never end up going to the thing because they get, Tommy gets beat up, which, in that scene, I thought he was asking to get beat up. And then he almost was just kind of like, he got threatened. So
He became a macho guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was okay with it. And then he had to go and like make a big deal out of it. And then he was like, all right.
Yeah.
But he takes all those guys out. I mean, he fights them off.
I don't
It's that
know.
cheap
Those
shot.
guys were.
They suck.
Tony Scott was going to direct this movie.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he turned it down because he thought that the focus on the drama and the dialogue, he wouldn't be able to do justice for that because that's not a type of movie that he would do. Well, that's props to him to understanding that that's not his lane.
His wheelhouse. Yeah.
And I know that we speaking of the dialogue, Paul's monologue, which he talks, that whole beautiful girl
Oh,
monologue.
I hate that model.
But that's not his. That's from a song. That's from a Taking Back Sunday song called Great Romances of the 20th Century. So that's not
that
his.
explains why I don't like it. Because I don't like Taking Back Sunday. Sorry, Elise. But no, I thought that was awful. And it was just so cheesy. And the way he said it was bad. I was like, oh, that's so bad. That's so indie movie awful. Like just kind of trying to expound your emotions. Like you're saying some soliloquy from Shakespeare. And I was just, oh, this sucks.
Yeah,
but then when Matt Dillon does his thing at the end, I'm like, I like that.
Which
When he's on the hospital bed and he talks about his life and what he wanted.
talks to Sharon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked that scene. And I was like, all right, that kind of makes up for that shitty, beautiful.
Did you
girls.
like Rosie O'Donnell's scene?
So I want to talk to you about that. I liked it.
Well, explain it first before you go through.
Okay. So Willie and Tommy are walking with Gina, who is basically, she owns a salon and she's kind of who everybody goes to for advice and stuff like that. So they're both talking to Gina. We don't know what their initial conversation was, but she talks about, how they only see women as boobs and they all want supermodels, but they'd be bored of supermodels.
Women with big boobs have big butts, big bodies. That's how it works. Yeah.
That's how God did it. Tiny butt, tiny boobs.
Yeah.
Big boobs, big butt.
Yep.
And they go through the supermarket. Or the pharmacy. She starts buying some groceries and does a checkout throughout their whole monologue about that. And Tommy and Willie are both kind of very bemused by what she's saying.
Yeah.
And it's really well done. And I know Rosie O'Donnell gets a lot of crap nowadays, but I like Rosie O'Donnell a lot back, especially a lot of her 90s things.
Right.
I would have much preferred that scene done as one single take.
Well, there's a moment where there's a
long one.
Right. And
then it stops though.
Yeah, I got you.
And I was like, oh, they almost had it.
Yeah. But I was still impressed by the one take. And I agree with you. I would have been completely fine with that. I don't know. Maybe they just couldn't do it, or maybe the logistics of moving the camera around, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that scene is written like that.
Yeah.
And I like that scene. I like everything that she's saying. It's problem is it's out of place in the movie. It just plops right in there.
That's why I don't like that we don't know what the initial conversation was.
Right.
You understand why the women are going to her.
Yes.
But you don't understand what Tommy and Willie's relationship with her is.
Right. I'm sure we're missing a scene, but it's just like it goes from one moment and then boom, they're walking across the street with her and she does her whole thing. They go back and she leaves and that's it. Boom. And we're off to something else. And it's just kind of like, it's almost like they didn't want to lose that scene because it's good.
Yeah.
And it kind of sums up like the childish ways of all the boys, of all the guys.
It really sums up Paul better than anybody.
Oh, absolutely. But like, it's about, well, to be fair, I mean, that's all of them too, because Willie can't figure out, I mean, he's got a great woman that
but she's not the supermodel.
Right,
Yeah, I get
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And like because later on.
But that leaves Willie to tell Paul, take down those posters. You look like a serial
True.
killer.
But is that scene also, is that scene before he's rating the women when they ask him, rate greater? Is that before that? I don't think so.
Which one, the Gina scene?
No, the scene when he's with Mo and Kevin, they're playing NHL 96. Yes. And
it goes, Gina's scene comes before the rating.
Right.
The rating comes before Willie saying, take these pictures off.
But see, that's what I'm saying. The rating,
Mhm.
it
proves that Gina's correct.
like, yeah. So it's almost like Willie doesn't learn that lesson because the rating is, it's, here's the thing with the rating. They're basically asking him to rate his girlfriend in terms of face, body,
and personality.
And so then he's like, wait a minute, I need like a litmus
Baseline.
test.
So they go through their
baseline.
high school crushes.
Right. And which you don't know them. So and it's obviously, it's extremely like, oh, come on, dude, you guys are being ridiculous. But here's the thing. Dudes do this. Guys do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So while it's so stupid to watch on screen, so stupid, like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing
It's
this.
real.
It's really what happens.
Right.
But it also gets to the point where Willie's got to learn that he's being ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's being foolish with his hesitation with Tracy. So, but I think that if that came before the Gina scene, it might have been better. If the Gina scene came after that, because having it after Gina basically telling them, you know, you guys are idiots. It kind of like he almost doesn't learn that lesson a little bit.
Well, he definitely doesn't, because they're both very bemused the whole time. Like, she crazy.
Yeah.
It's not until later that they kind of realize they're right. And it's the rating that kind of spurs him on to the next scene with Gina, where Gina tells him, you're with Tracy and you want this person, but there's 1,000 people that are like that with your girl, that want your girl.
I think you have, that you have it made.
Although, does she tell it to Willie or does she tell it to Tommy? No, I think she says
it to Willie.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point. And I think that's the second thing he needs to hear.
Yeah. And then I want to talk about Mo and his wife's relationship, because I think we missed something with Mo and Sarah when he goes off to go fight, when he finds out that Tommy got beat up.
But see, yep.
And he's going, where are they? And he runs off and Sarah's yelling at him, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he goes off and then he comes back after the whole thing and apologizes.
Right.
I feel like we missed something.
I don't think so. I think he's supposed to be the one that's grown up. He's supposed to be the one that has it.
Yeah.
And by doing that, he reverts back into this 15, 16-year-old kid again.
Yeah.
And he has to apologize. Like, that's not who I am. I'm this husband.
Right.
I'm supposed to be responsible. I've got my shit together. And
Right.
I went out to try to lose all that.
Right.
You know, who's to say that Steve didn't call the cops instead of his buddies and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think that's why he's apologizing. He's apologizing for how stupid and immature and thoughtless he was.
Mm-hmm.
That he's not like the rest of those guys. He's throwing away a wife and kids if he does that.
Right. He would get himself into serious trouble doing that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like Mo a lot in this movie. I think Noah Emmerich, I always like Noah Emmerich, but I like the way he plays that character of still being one of the guys,
right,
and never imposing on them with, I've got a wife and kids. You don't understand what it's like, man. But he's still watches them and knows and tries to tell, even tells Willie, don't be a salesman. Go do your dream.
You would hate it. You'd be terrible at it.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's like, no, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Instead of being like, yeah, man, because normally those characters are like, no, man, yeah, you should be a salesman. Go settle down, man. Settle down. Have some kids, have a wife, man. That's how it is, man. And he's like, no, that's not you, though. That might be me and us, but that's not you.
And even Tracy tells that to him at the end too, when he's like, I don't want to be
A salesman. She says, I don't want you to be a salesman.
No,
I don't
I'm not
think,
going to take that job. And she's like, good. I don't think you'd be very good at it.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not, salesmen aren't sexy.
Salesmen aren't sexy.
And I love the line when they're making out and she's like, this is awkward. And she's like, well, you've never had sex in your bedroom before. He's like, not with anyone else. So I thought that was a good line too. There's that's the thing. Like, talking about the movie more and thinking about the movie more, I just appreciate what they're trying to, maybe what the attempt at what they're trying to do. It's not perfect. Like we just talked about, like some scenes don't seem like they fit. Also, there are so many interesting characters within the story that you want more of certain characters and you don't get it because they're trying to, it's 2 hours. This movie could easily be 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Right.
We always say this movie would probably fit better if it was a series. We always say that.
I could see this as a limited HBO, one of those limited ones.
But here's the thing.
I wouldn't watch it.
Here's the thing. As a filmmaker, this is the type of movie that I would love to do. I would love to go off and shoot.
I know this is right up your alley.
Oh, of course.
The whole time I watch this, I'm like, I know I feel like this.
But
movie.
I'm asking you,
it's all your.
What about you? Would this be a movie that you would get into because it's?
This isn't a movie I would write.
No, I'm talking about performing.
This is a movie that I would absolutely perform in. This is a movie that I would love to play one of these characters. I mean, obviously, I think I'd like to play Willie's character. Or maybe even Michael Rapaport's character.
I think you're more of the.
I can't be Tommy.
No, well,
you make me Kev. I swear to God.
No. I would say that I would think you would be a better person, one of the characters that is from the hometown, like didn't leave. I don't think you'd be a Willie character. No, definitely not Kev. Relax.
Got anything with my mustache?
Not at all. No, I think you would be more.
Who doesn't have styrofoam this time of year?
No, I think it'd be more of like, you could even do the Noah Emmerich character. You could even do like the father kind of, settle down type thing.
Maybe, yeah.
But I think you could be one of those guys. Absolutely. But that's when I'm watching this, I was wondering, I wonder if Butler would want to be in this movie.
No, yeah. The dialogues are really good and the relationship between all the characters.
Because there's a lot you can do in this movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? It allows you to stretch and be like the way you want to be.
What I like about this movie, which I don't usually like a lot of the movies you like this, I have problems with a lot of the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, I think Marty is maybe a little too smart for her own good, but she never crosses what I call the Juno line, where it's just like, oh my God, no. I think the dialogue is authentic in terms of really, obviously it's a movie, so they're going to say what's on their mind a lot more, but the dialogue is so authentic and real, and their issues that they're having might be overblown. Tommy and Darian and all that.
Darian?
Right.
Darian, yeah. The Lauren Holly character, yeah.
Is a little.
It's a weird name.
It's a little overblown, and then obviously Willie and Marty's relationship is gross. But it's all the stuff that they say and his emotions, like everything Willie says to. God damn, I'm so bad with names. Everything Willie says to Andera in the fishing house, the fishing shack, is so real and so that's like that. I related to Willie's character a lot because he's this artist that's like, should I I'm in my 30s now. Should I stop? Mm-hmm. And the never want to grow up thing is definitely something that I know I have an issue with.
Aww.
And it's like a lot of the stuff he says to her is so authentic and true. And I'm like, no one would say this out loud to any human being, but it's a movie and the dialogue is superb, and the way he acts it and the way he says it, his wanting to sleep with Andera is kind of like, obviously he's not going to, but I'd be a fool not to ask.
Right.
I like all that. It's very not off-putting.
Awkward?
No. Where it's like, it's nice. It's like, sweet, but in like endearing. It's a very endearing kind of thing that he says.
Right.
And I
you
like
get the sense
moments.
that, I didn't mean to cut you off. You
like
get
he's not going to.
Right. You get the sense that if she said, yeah, go ahead, you'd be like, oh, I was just.
Exactly. He doesn't. Yeah.
He knows that she's not going to. But he just, he likes having the conversation with her.
Yeah.
Right, I get you. No, absolutely.
Their conversation at the piano is also real good right before that.
Right.
The whole thing.
Drunk. Yeah, absolutely. And I should say that so in this movie, they all sing the Neil Diamond song,
Sweet Caroline.
That predates what they do at the Fenway Park when Boston sings that during whatever the 7th inning or 6th inning, whenever they sing it. So for those out there, that predates that tradition. So I just want to. Well,
that also takes place in Massachusetts. Do they do that because of this movie?
Well, this is supposed to take place in. This is based on Rosenberg's friends from his hometown in Needham, Mass. But they shoot in Minnesota, and it's supposed to be just any town, anywhere. Like that's the idea. So they don't ever say You get the sense that are in New England.
Well, I saw the license plates.
Oh, I got you. But they shot in Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense because you want it to get snowy and
you got to
depend on that.
Which is pretty good that, you had the snow and it snowed on certain scenes. I wonder if like they were rushing to get, the scenes done and get like when he picks him up from the night before it snows in the beginning of the movie, and he picks him up at the bus stop and there's snow on the ground. You got to wonder if they're like, okay, it snowed last night. Let's go do this scene because there's snow on the ground and we can get going. You know what I mean?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. It's just that kind of like the idea about getting it shot.
Well, everything's on location. So maybe, they planned around. If it snows, we're going to do the snowplow scenes, the outdoor scenes, and then everything else is going to be indoors.
And like for 2 to 3 weeks before the movie, the cast actually lived together. And Demme had the cast live together for 2 to 3 weeks to kind of like have that bond where they could get to, which is a great idea.
I was going to say their chemistry, all the guys' chemistry is so real,
which is a great idea. I don't give a movie a knock when I feel like dialogue is either staged or feels movie like dialogue. As much as you do, because I think I've talked about it before. I enjoy that moment. I don't mind being like, I know people don't talk like this half the time. I know Gina doesn't have that huge monologue in the beginning of the movie, but some movies that are like this, especially indie films, I enjoy that because it's just, I don't know. I wrap myself around that movie indie blanket. I just like that. There's the other thing. Like this movie is not made today. This movie's not made today because this movie is not big enough to be made today. You know what I mean? Like I said, the production budget was not available. It's probably like you said, what'd you say? 5 million, 10 million?
Probably, I couldn't look. It made 10 million.
It's probably under 10 million.
For sure. These people aren't really huge right now.
No, they're and they probably took cuts to do this movie and stuff like that. So, but like that's like it's very similar to The Ref, like, in terms of the dialogue heavy, smaller scale, deals with real things. The Ref is a little better. I will tell you, Ref has got much better.
The Ref is more of a comedy. It's got a lot more goofy stuff in it though. So I think I don't know if I would compare this to The Ref.
Well, I would compare it because it's the same director. That's why I'm comparing it.
I guess, yeah.
Same mentality, same kind of style, if you will.
Same style for sure.
That's all
it definitely has the same style.
I'm not saying it's not about the same concepts. It's just the same style.
See, where you wrap yourself in the indie blanket though, I think it's like,
brother, it's good.
I think it's an indie weight. I think so many people depend on, I'm going to have this snappy, witty dialogue, and it's just so overdone like that. I'm just like, you're trying to be indie.
There are movies that do that. No, I agree with you. There are movies that do that, but that has a lot to do with people not comfortable in their own directing style or writing style, editing style. That's
a bunch of 20-year-olds seeing Clerks and going, I'm making Clerks.
I absolutely understand that, and I get that. There is, but I don't see that with this movie. Maybe in certain
there are certain moments, but it does forgive itself because the characters are so well made and stuff.
But nothing's
like that.
Perfect, man. Nothing's perfect. He's not for anything, but I have the note here that he wrote the script in 5 days. No, he did not. He might have wrote the treatment. He might have wrote the rough draft, but he did not write this script in 5 days. He might have done something in 5 days and then he had to rewrite it. Cause I'm sorry. It's not happening. It's not possible. It's not possible. It's just not possible. Well, I'm glad that you kind of liked it. How about that?
It just took me a while to glom onto it. And the Marty stuff is gross. Like it's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. Maybe I wait like 10 years and then maybe no, you're gross. You're gross.
I don't
care how drunk you get. You don't say that.
I don't view that again. The same way that he had this conversation with Adair, which he said things, but he knew it was never going to get to that point. I feel the same way about him with Marty. I think he just liked the attention. I think he liked that he knew that, he felt that she idolized him and he liked that. I think he liked just something. It was something new and something different. And like you said, it's a connection to his being younger.
Man,
I don't think
from that first scene, all I thought was, man, this is one creepy son of a bitch.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. And to her credit, to Portman's act credit, it's like you talked about, like it could have easily gone into like the Juno type area with her dialogue and just being a little like way precocious. I think that you do see moments where she is still a kid and that she has like emotion, like even when he's trying to talk to her and she's going into the house and she's like, I'm going in, like you could tell that, she maybe just doesn't want to deal with it right now or something, like, you know what I mean? Like it's too heady for her, that kind of thing. So I thought that was done well. And that's probably why she was, kind of singled out when this movie came out in terms of her acting.
Oh, for sure. The beginning stuff with him is It's still gross. But I do like, I understand the, oh man, what if I was like 15 years younger? It's just the more the sexual aspect of it.
Right.
That's clear. But I do like the conversation that he finally has with her about Christopher Robin.
Yes, the poo conversation.
Yeah. I really do like that whole conversation, which I feel like I've actually seen that scene before.
But here's the thing. That conversation comes when she tells him, I have a crush on you, and it becomes real. And so then he immediately shoots it down.
Well, I get that.
So that's
because he's a real human. If he didn't shoot that down, the movie would have completely devolved into something else. And you would completely hate Willie, and the movie would be not good to me. But he does shoot her down, and he says he comes to his senses and says, well, that's why, like you said, if it was just her having the crush on him, I would have liked it better.
Right.
If it was just him coming to her for her advice because he wants to be 13 again, and it wasn't this relationship thing, and then all of a sudden she had a crush on him and he goes, oh no.
Right.
I would have liked that better than it was clear from the start that he wanted to bang this 13-year-old girl.
No,
it is clear from the beginning.
Not clear from the start.
I even watched it with Elise, and she was like, "This is gross." And I was like,
here's the thing. I think you're being hypersensitive to that. I don't think that at all. There's a difference between liking attention and actively thinking. You're saying he's actively thinking about going over, hooking up with her and kissing her. No way. I think you're being hypersensitive. I think you both are being hypersensitive. Okay. You're a bunch of snowflakes. You need to understand. But that's fine. I just don't, I respect your opinion. I just don't agree with it. I didn't view that. And the end of the movie, he gives her a kiss on the cheek. Because he says like, goodbye, I'll see you later. And he's leaving. And she didn't know that was coming. So
her reaction, her
reaction is spontaneous, which I thought was great. I guess like Demme told him to just kiss her on the cheek, and she didn't know that was coming. And then Paul comes over. You're the little Lolita. You're the neighborhood Lolita.
You're the little scumbag high school dropout.
I was like, oh, how's that feel? He's like, all right, damn it.
I was laughing so hard in the scene where he's crying with his Jeep, when Paul's crying when he's plowing her driveway. He's just, I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, either he's plowing her driveway clean or he's putting more snow in front of her garage door.
It would have been funnier if he was putting more snow on the garage, but it doesn't make any sense for that to happen. Yeah, exactly.
So I liked it either way, but I thought that was a really funny moment.
Did you know the band that was playing at the bar, who that was?
They looked really familiar, and I actually wrote down, and I forgot to look it up who it was.
That is the Afghan Wigs that's up playing on the bar. Heads up. The 90s of 90s movies.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. All right. I recommend people to watch this if you like dialogue. If you like, I don't know.
I think of all the indie films that you recommend and you really like, I think this is probably
I need a baseline. Like, what are we talking about?
Like when you talk like, I don't know. We've gone through a few of them, and I know you love Clerks a lot, and I have some issues with Clerks. Although I love Clerks is really funny.
I like,
and I know it kind of started the whole move for the most part. Started the movement of all this and Mallrats and stuff like that.
Sure.
I think this one is the most sincere.
Okay,
and I think that even though the beginning was a little like, I hate these guys, you had to hate them to start to really learn to like them.
Yeah.
And I think this was probably this is one of the best 90s indie movies that I've seen yet so far, that I've actually ended up being endeared to the characters and understanding the characters. I think this is definitely one of the best ones I've seen so far.
I will tell you this, that seeing Mira Sorvino's button-fly jeans, I hated button-fly jeans. I hated that they were fad.
Oh man, her bra was like so 90s. I was like,
well, like, because there's
so pointy and so
there's
weird.
a scene when they're supposed to have sex, her and her husband. I guess obviously they're fighting, so it doesn't go well. And then she's talking. She puts on her jeans, button-fly jeans, and I'm like, God, I had button-fly jeans too, and I
had a couple pairs. Yeah.
Oh, I hated button-fly jeans. What a pain.
Well, for girls, I mean, you're taking them all the way off anyway. But yeah, for dudes, it's
pain.
I still have shorts that are button-fly.
Oh, that's the worst. And that one button on the way on the bottom, when I get unbuttoned, you're like, oh, and you're going to get it. Yeah. I'm sure there's still button-fly jeans out there, but zippers for me. So yeah, no, but I'm glad you liked some of it, I guess. Mm-hmm. And you would I think you would definitely like being in a movie like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But all right. So I guess we are done.
I would think we were.
Yeah. Go ahead. Where can they find us? Unless you want me to do that, and then you can tell everyone else the movie for next week.
I'll tell them where they can find us.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to see if you want to change it up.
Oh, you want to change that? That's
No,
fine.
I don't.
No.
I like the usual stuff. I'm good. Go ahead. Go.
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. You can also find us wherever podcasts are available, including the one you're listening to right now. And if you are listening to this once it ends, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe. It helps get our word out. You know, it helps us immensely when you do that, and it takes little effort from you guys.
Jeez, Butler.
You can also find us on the social medias at Forgotten Cinema Pod or Forgotten Cinema. We post every day of the week pretty much, and we have fun little commercials that we do every Thursday for our upcoming episodes or our recently released episodes.
What are we going to do for this one? Are you going to play Marty and I'll be Willie?
Yes. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
Sweet. And next week, we're going to be staying in the 90s. We're going to go a year later. We're doing Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, which Butler's mother hates.
I don't know why she hates it, because
It's so stupid. It's so stupid and ridiculous that it's funny. I love Jeanine Garofalo in this movie. She's fantastic. She's fantastically mean in this movie. All right. So that's next week, Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. If you're looking for a movie to watch this cold February month, I recommend Beautiful Girls. And that's it. And I'm done. And I'm Mike Field.
And I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.